Cota was the kind of place where nothing ever happened. Until something did. One foggy morning in March, a young girl was found dead near the town's edge. No signs of struggle. No witnesses. Just silence. And a single broken necklace. What happened that night in Cota still haunts the people who live there. This is not just a murder story. It's a puzzle with missing pieces. And no one, not even the police, has ever been able to put them all together. Welcome to Behind the Kill, where we dive deep into the darkest true crime stories you've never heard. Until now. Cota is a sleepy town tucked into the forests of Northern California. Population. Just over 5,000. Everyone knows everyone. The kind of place where you leave your door unlocked. Or at least you used to. The victim was Elena Pierce, 22 years old. Quiet college student home for spring break. She was known for volunteering at the local animal shelter. And for always keeping to herself. No drama. No enemies. But that changed on the night of March 18, 2020. The night she left her friend's house, and never made it home. Elena was last seen at 9:41 p.m., captured on a neighbor's security camera walking alone. She had left a small get-together. No alcohol, nothing suspicious. She told her friend she was tired and wanted to walk home. It was just 6 blocks away. At 10:15 p.m., a jogger found something in the grass. A small, silver necklace, broken. By 6:30 a.m. the next morning, her body was discovered in a shallow ditch behind the town library. No blood. No bruises. No defensive wounds. Her eyes were open, frozen in terror. The police were baffled. No signs of assault. Toxicology was clean. No fingerprints, no tire marks. It was as if Elena had simply collapsed from fear, or had been killed by something that left no trace. The only clue. A torn piece of red fabric clutched in her hand. Lab results said it was synthetic. Maybe from a jacket. But no one in town claimed to recognize it. Her phone. Missing. Her shoes. And the path from the sidewalk to the ditch showed no sign of a struggle. Locals whispered about an ex-boyfriend, Derek Vance, who had recently returned to town. Police questioned him. His alibi checked out. Another theory. A drifter spotted 2 days before near the woods. But he vanished before he could be identified. No fingerprints. No CCTV. Some even said Elena was followed by someone she knew. A teacher, a coach, someone who could convince her to stop walking. Then there were the strange reports. A power outage on her street at 9:50 p.m. Dogs in the neighborhood barking non-stop. And a second faint scream caught on a wildlife camera 2 blocks away a month after the murder. A library janitor discovered something odd. A shoe wedged behind a basement pipe. J6. Lena's size. Clean. Untouched. And then came the real shocker. Her Fitbit data recovered from cloud storage. At 9:58 p.m., her heart rate spiked suddenly. Then, flatlined at 10:03 p.m. 5 minutes. That's all it took. But why no struggle? Why no attempt to run? The town was shaken. Candlelight vigils. Flyers. Online forums flooded with theories. The police issued 3 public statements, each more vague than the last. The lead detective admitted, "We don't know how she died. And we may never know." The FBI was briefly involved. But with no forensics, no motive, and no suspect, the case went cold. To this day, Elena's family holds on to hope, begging the public for information. They believe someone in town knows the truth. They always have. It's been 4 years. The sidewalk is still there. The street light still flickers. And every year, someone leaves a single red flower near the ditch. Always on March 18th. Was it a random act? Planned murder? Or something else entirely? Cota never forgot Elena Pierce. And until justice is served, they never will. Lack of forensic evidence. From the beginning, investigators faced a frustrating reality. There was almost no physical evidence to work with. Elena's body showed no obvious signs of trauma. No bruises, no lacerations, no strangulation marks. Toxicology reports came back clean. There was no DNA under her fingernails, no fingerprints at the scene, and no signs of forced entry or struggle. Without a clear cause of death or a murder weapon, the police were essentially working blind. Every forensic path led to a dead end. The crime scene was too clean. What disturbed many investigators and online crime analysts was just how strangely clean the crime scene was. The ditch where Elena was found was muddy and overgrown, but her clothes were relatively undisturbed. Her hair was neatly tied back. Her body had not been dragged or posed. It was as if someone had placed her there gently. Some even speculated that she was killed elsewhere and transported. But again, there were no tire marks, footprints, or fiber traces that supported that theory. Missing items and selective theft. Elena's shoes and phone were never recovered, but her jewelry and wallet were untouched. This pattern doesn't match a typical robbery, nor does it match an impulsive attack. Instead, it suggests a highly controlled and deliberate act. Whoever did this may have taken the phone and shoes for a reason, maybe to remove GPS data, or as some kind of ritualistic behavior. Investigators believe these missing items could hold key evidence, but they've never surfaced. Not in pawn shops, online sales, or even dumped in nearby lakes and woods, silent witnesses and a town that won't talk. One of the biggest challenges in solving this case has been the lack of credible witnesses. Elena was walking through a quiet suburban area where houses are tightly packed, yet no one saw anything suspicious. A few neighbors reported hearing something like a short scream around 10 p.m., but no one checked. Some even believe a resident in the area may have seen more but chose to stay silent, out of fear or personal connection to the suspect. In small towns like Cota, people protect their own, even when they shouldn't. Mysterious fabric and the red thread clue. The only physical evidence, a torn piece of synthetic red fabric found in Elena's hand, has puzzled detectives for years. Lab analysis suggested it came from a nylon windbreaker, but no one in Elena's circle owned anything like it, and it didn't match clothing from any known suspects. Some amateur sleuths online believe it matches a jacket from a now discontinued line made in Europe, leading to wild theories about foreign drifters or someone traveling through town. But so far nothing has come from that lead. The Fitbit data. A digital clue with no conclusion. Elena's Fitbit revealed a sudden heart rate spike at 9:58 p.m., followed by a flatline at 10:03 p.m. That 5-minute window could have been everything, but without her phone, which is still missing, there's no GPS, no text history, no emergency call, nothing. Police were unable to access her cloud-stored messages due to encryption, and the Fitbit itself had limited memory. The digital trail went cold just like the physical one. Inexperienced local law enforcement. Cotadel's police department had never handled a homicide case before. In fact, Elena's was the first murder in over 20 years. Critics argue that the crime scene wasn't secured properly in the first 24 hours. The area where her body was found wasn't sealed off until the next morning. The search for her shoes and phone didn't begin until 3 days later. By the time the FBI joined the case, too much time had passed. Critical evidence may have been lost forever. Psychological profile. A killer who knows how to hide. Finally, FBI profilers believe the killer may be someone with deep knowledge of the victim or the area. Someone calm, methodical, and not driven by impulse. That kind of individual is difficult to catch, especially if they have no criminal record and know how to avoid detection. The clean scene, the emotional precision of the act, and the lack of forensic mess all point to a high-functioning, cold-blooded person, possibly someone still living in Cota, watching as the mystery continues. A case that shocked the quiet. When news first broke of Elena Pierce's death in Cota, local media treated it as a tragic but isolated incident. But as details emerged, the missing phone, the silent crime scene, the mysterious red fabric, the story began to spread far beyond the town's borders. Small-town murders are often sensationalized, but this one felt different. There was a chilling, cinematic emptiness to it. Something about the way Elena was found, eyes open, untouched, terrified, captured media attention across the state. Regional coverage with suspicion. Regional news stations began running features on the case weekly. Some suggested the police weren't being fully transparent. Others subtly hinted that someone in the town might be involved. Reporters covering the case noted how quickly leads dried up, and how police communication with the press became increasingly limited. Either the killer left no trace, one journalist wrote, or someone is erasing the trail for them. The implication that there may be an insider, or a protected suspect, fueled more media scrutiny. National media takes notice. By month 3, major platforms like Dateline, 48 Hours, and even Reddit's true crime communities picked up the case. Elena's story was reposted thousands of times across crime forums and YouTube channels. BuzzFeed Unsolved covered it in a short episode, calling it one of the quietest cold cases with the loudest mystery. Public fascination wasn't just about who killed Elena. It was about how something so violent could happen with zero evidence, zero noise, and zero answers. Media criticism toward law enforcement. Several investigative journalists criticized the Cota Police Department for mishandling early evidence. Rumors of delayed scene lockdowns, a misfiled surveillance video, and interviews being skipped began to surface. One report suggested that officers weren't trained for homicide cases and relied too heavily on out-of-town support. Though the police denied these claims, their silence on key questions didn't help. This fueled online suspicion and public distrust, especially among true crime audiences who follow unsolved cases obsessively. Public outcry and online movements. Elena's case soon had its own hashtags. Hashtag Justice for Elena, hashtag Cota Secrets, and hashtag Who Killed Elena. Online petitions demanded federal involvement. A Change.org petition gained over 150,000 signatures, urging the FBI to reopen the case full-time. TikTok creators began making timeline breakdowns, theory videos, and even location walkthroughs of Cota using Google Maps. For a moment, the internet became obsessed. But just like the case, the hype faded, and the truth remained buried. Town's mixed reaction to the spotlight. The people of Cota had mixed feelings about the media invasion. Some welcomed the attention, hoping it would force answers out. Others hated it. A few residents accused reporters of exploiting Elena's death for views. There were even confrontations. One journalist was asked to leave a diner after asking questions. "We don't want cameras, we want peace," said one town elder. The town's quiet resistance only deepened suspicions. Was it just grief, or was something being hidden? Families' pleas and media appearances. Elena's parents, especially her mother Elena Pierce, made several emotional public appearances. She appeared on ABC's Morning Now, holding Elena's photo and begging for new information. "If you're protecting someone, please stop," she said tearfully. The family has been relentless, keeping Elena's story alive through annual candlelight walks, social media pages, and interviews. Their grief is real, raw, and visible. Media outlets continue to support them, but even they admit, without new leads, their cameras will eventually turn away. The rise of conspiracy theories. With no arrest, theories have flourished. Some think it was a jealous friend. Others claim it was a serial killer passing through. One online post suggested Elena's death had links to a hidden cult active in nearby forest areas, but no evidence ever supported that. Still, the lack of answers gave rise to dangerous speculation. Some users even accused random town members by name, causing outrage and emotional damage. Cota police urged people to stop spreading misinformation, but it was already too late. Media today, a fading story with echoes. Today, the Elena Pierce story doesn't headline newspapers anymore, but it hasn't disappeared. Every March 18th, local media revisits the case with headlines like, "4 years, no justice," or "The town that lost its innocence." Some true crime YouTubers still do deep dives. Documentaries have been pitched, though none have aired yet. The media no longer hounds Cota daily, but it still watches from the shadows. Just like the killer who may be watching too. Cota was the kind of place where nothing ever happened. Until something did. One foggy morning in March, a young girl was found dead near the town's edge. No signs of struggle. No witnesses. Just silence. and a single broken necklace. What happened that night in Cota still haunts the people who live there. This is not just a murder story. It's a puzzle with missing pieces. And no one, not even the police, has ever been able to put them all together. Welcome to Behind the Kill, where we dive deep into the darkest true crime stories you've never heard. Until now,